Hello, my name is Laura Miller and I'm a third grade teacher at Halls Elementary School, Go Hound Dogs, and I'm here today to talk to you about our science activity for this week. This third grade science activity is for week 4. The resource page for this activity can be found on the Knox County Schools website and in the week 4 packet given out at food distribution sites. These packets are given out on Wednesdays from 10 o'clock until noon. If this video at any time is hard to understand, there are a few things you can do to help. You can turn on the closed captions if that's available. You can adjust the playback speed to slow down the video. You could consider watching short clips, pausing, watching them again and listening to them again as many times as you need to. You can also ask someone in your home to watch the video with you. That way you can stop and talk to your partner about what you heard and what you understand. Today's activity is about types of clouds and the weather that they bring. In this activity, we're going to look at 5 different types of clouds, and we're going to see what kind of weather usually happens when those clouds are in the sky. Now, why are we learning about it? It's always important to learn about the weather so that we can predict it, so that we know what's going to happen. When we know what the weather is going to be like, we can better plan our day. If we look outside and see that there's lots of clouds in the sky and it's dark, then we're not going to go outside and plan a picnic. But if we see a bright blue sky and hardly any clouds, or maybe just some white puffy ones, we'll know that we could take a picnic if we wanted to. So let's start by talking about what are clouds? A cloud is a collection of tiny water droplets or ice crystals in the air. As more water evaporates and rises in the air, more and more water droplets or ice crystals collect in the clouds. They get bigger and bigger. When there are too many water droplets in the sky, in the cloud for it to stay up in the sky, the water falls as precipitation. Rain, snow, hail, or sleet, depending on the temperature. Let's look at the water cycle because this describes that process that I just talked to you about. Water here on the ground, this looks like a lake here, is heated up by the sun. As you can see, it evaporates into the sky. The higher it goes in the sky, the colder it gets. So the more it condenses and it turns into a cloud. Those water droplets collect together. As more and more water droplets collect, they can be blown around by the wind. These clouds can move around. And the precipitation can fall to the ground, where this cycle starts over again. This runoff runs down, and this lake can get heated up again. It continues over and over again. This is the water cycle like you looked at in Activity 3 last week. Now, let's talk about types of clouds. The color and shape of the clouds can give us lots of information about the weather, what kind of weather we're going to have. The more water in the cloud, the darker the cloud gets. White, fluffy clouds tend to have less water than tall, dark gray clouds. So if you have whiter, fluffier clouds, you're not going to be expecting rain. If the clouds are darker, that means they've collected more of those water droplets and the better chances you have of rain. Now, there are lots and lots of different types of clouds. We're just going to focus on 5 of them today. The first one we're going to look at is called a cumulus cloud. Say that for me, cumulus. Cumulus clouds are puffy clouds that sometimes look like they're piled on top of each other. They kind of look like cotton balls floating in the sky. Small cumulus clouds let a lot of light through, so they're white. You're not going to expect any kind of rain from these kinds of clouds. Now, the next type of cloud is called a cumulonimbus cloud. Say that, cumulonimbus. A cumulonimbus cloud starts out as a cumulus cloud, and they grow taller as more water vapor collects in them. They can bring heavy rain and lightning. Sometimes they're called thunderheads. We get them a lot of times in the spring and summertime here in East Tennessee. As you can see in this picture, the more water has collected and the higher and higher this cloud is up in the sky. The top of the cloud is white because it's reflecting the sunlight, but look at how dark the bottom of the cloud has gotten because it has all of those raindrops in it, and it's raining underneath that kind of cloud. Another kind of cloud that we see a lot of time in the winter around here is a stratus cloud. Stratus clouds form when it's been cold and then warm and wet air moves into the area. The water in the colder air condenses into clouds, and these look like wet, thick blankets. They tend to be lower in the sky than cumulus and cumulonimbus clouds. And you can see this one here in this picture, it covers the whole sky. When you have a stratus cloud, you tend to have rain showers, lots of drizzly rain, not fast thunderstorms like a cumulonimbus cloud, but slow, drizzly rain. Now, stratus clouds can turn into another kind of cloud. This is a stratonimbus cloud. Stratonimbus. These are stratus clouds with rain or snow falling out of it. These look like even darker blankets in the sky. They tend to be thicker, and this kind of cloud, not only is it thicker and darker, but you tend to have a lot more rain. Maybe it's a heavier drizzle and it lasts longer throughout the day. Some of those days that we get in the winter time here where it lasts all day long. That comes from a stratonimbus cloud. Now, the last kind of cloud we're going to look at, these kind of clouds are high, high up in the air. These are called Cirrus Clouds. These clouds are the most common high altitude cloud. That means that they're way high up in the sky. They're made of ice crystals that are blown by the wind into these thin and wispy shapes. And you can see the wind kind of trails them off and it's blowing those ice crystals in the air. Cirrus clouds are white and they tend to predict fair and pleasant weather. You're not going to expect any kind of rain from these clouds. Let's go back and review our 5 kinds of clouds real quick before we move on. We're going to start with cumulus clouds, those light, puffy cotton ball clouds. Next, we have cumulonimbus clouds, those clouds that are thunderheads. They bring thunderstorms in the summertime. Then we have stratus clouds, those gray, drizzly kinds of clouds that move in and it's just kind of a dreary gray day. Stratonimbus clouds or stratus clouds that have turned darker and stormier, and that's when that rain and drizzly day lasts all day, sometimes more than one day, and these are just dreary clouds. And then we have cirrus clouds. These are those high altitude clouds with the ice crystals that trail off at the end because they're being blown so much by the wind because they're so high up in the air. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a slide that has a couple of different pictures of clouds on it, and I want you to take a couple of seconds and see if you can figure out what kind of clouds they are. I've got a timer here. I'm going to set about 10, let's do 10 seconds. If you need to pause the video, if you need more time, that is okay. We're going to do 10 seconds on the video, and as soon as I turn the page to the next slide, you can start trying to figure out what kind of clouds are in those pictures, okay? Here we go. Okay, did you get them? This first picture here, this has pictures of cumulus clouds, those light puffy clouds you can see there. You can see lots of blue sky in between them. They're fairly far spread apart. They're puffy. They look like cotton balls. In this picture over here, we've got stratus clouds. These are lighter gray than the picture I showed you earlier, and they're just kind of a blanket across the whole sky. We don't see any blue in this sky. This picture down here is a little bit trickier. It may be hard to see. There is blue sky in this picture, and we have a combination of cumulus clouds. But look over here on this side of the picture. Do you see those stratus clouds moving in where it's covering this whole area? So this one was a little bit tricky. It had more than one kind of cloud. Most of the time when we see clouds, we see them from underneath. Now, sometimes though, you can see a cloud from beside it or even above it if you're in an airplane. So take a couple seconds and look at these pictures. Can you tell what kind of clouds are in these pictures? If you said cumulus clouds, you're right. These are those little puffy cotton ball-like clouds, and they really do look like cotton balls from above. When you're seeing them, they look like they're laying on the ground. These are more from the side, and you can see that they're puffy from the side also. Good job. Next, we're going to look at some video of clouds from above. Most of the clouds that you see in these videos are cumulus clouds, but you might be able to see there's some stratus clouds sprinkled in there, and up above there's some cirrus clouds. So here's one video looking out an airplane window. You can see these cumulus clouds. Some of them are starting to get taller and puffier as they are changing into cumulonimbus clouds, as they're changing into those thunderheads. This area might end up with some thunderstorms later in the day. Okay, here's another video. This one, as you can see, this one has a big section here that is really starting to get taller than the rest of the cumulus clouds around it as it starts to turn into a cumulonimbus cloud. These videos were taken out of an airplane window right outside of Atlanta, which is not too far from here. So these kind of clouds are clouds that we might see around here. We're just getting a different view of them, seeing them from above instead of seeing them from below like we normally see them. Okay, so let's talk about the activity that you're going to be doing this week. You're going to get 2 pages. The first page looks like this. It has all of the information that we've talked about so far in a text form in a couple paragraphs, and you also have a chart here that has the names of the clouds, a description, and what kind of weather you usually find with them. Now the activity, what we're asking you to do is to observe the clouds and the weather for a week. This would only take a couple minutes a day. So go outside and look and see what kind of clouds can you identify. What clouds do you see in the sky, and what weather do you see out there with those clouds? Does that weather that you are experiencing that day go with the type of clouds you see? And we've given you a chart here to record your observations. A place for you to write what kind of cloud you see. A place for you to draw what kind of cloud you see. And if you need to turn your page to the side so that you can have your paper horizontally, that is fine. You can also write down what kind of weather you're having to see if what kind of cloud and what kind of weather goes together. And any other observations you can make about what's going on outside, maybe what the temperature is. You can also, if you want to, create your own clouds, okay? Here's an extension activity. Think about what kind of materials you have at home that you can make your own 3-dimensional models of these different kinds of clouds. You can use cotton balls, tissues, or you can just draw them. This way, you'll get to practice naming what kind of clouds you have outside each day, no matter what week you're choosing to do this activity, and checking to see if the weather that you experience along with it goes with that type of cloud. Since part of your activity is drawing the kinds of clouds you see, I thought it would be good to show you how to draw these different kinds of clouds. We're going to start with cumulus clouds. Okay, So a cumulus clouds, those are those cotton ball kind of clouds that float up in the sky. They tend to have a flat bottom. So if you draw them with a flat bottom and then draw lots of puffy shapes, you can draw them one behind the other because they have a tendency to gather together, or maybe you have a little one off to the side. That looks like that. We also have those cumulonimbus. Cumulonimbus clouds. That, remember, they start out as cumulus clouds and then they get big and stormy. So we're going to start down at the bottom here. And they have a flat bottom too, but these guys tend to be taller and puffier. So maybe this guy is going to come up and be big. And it has a flat bottom too. Now these guys, remember, they had the gray on the bottom because they have rain, thunderstorms. So maybe we want to make them nice and dark down here at the bottom. Maybe we want to add some lightning coming out of it to show that these are storm clouds. We also have stratus clouds. Stratus clouds. These are those blanket gray, light kind of gray clouds. Maybe they're a little bit wavy. They are kind of gray, so we're going to kind of have that be a light gray cloud because remember, those stratonimbus, or they're also sometimes called nimbostratus, stratonimbus, nimbostratus. They're very similar. They can be a little bit thicker, maybe they're bumpier, and they are dark gray. So we're going to make these nice and dark, give them some dark shading, especially on the bottom, and have rain coming out of it. And I'm running out of room on the bottom of my page. Rain coming out of that cloud to show that it is a nimbostratus cloud. We could have a couple raindrops coming out of these stratus clouds too. Now the cirrus clouds, remember, they're way high up in the sky, so let's put them up here. These guys, these are those very high level, they tend to be wispier, maybe they have a puffy end on one side and then the wind just kind of blows those ice crystals away. Okay, so here we have our 5 different kinds of clouds, and you can draw them any way you want to. These are just some ideas. Cumulus, stratus, nimbostratus or stratonimbus, cumulonimbus, and cirrus clouds. Thank you very much for joining me for this science activity. I hope you have a lot of fun with it. I had a lot of fun coming up with it and making this video. I'm excited to see what you can do, so show off what you can do. Tweet and share your creation. Show your chart that you made with all your drawings on it. And if you want to do that extension activity and make a 3D model of those kinds of clouds, please feel free to tweet at KCS Science and show us how smart you are. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed it. Stay safe and have fun.